Welcome, WND Live, WorldNetDaily. We are on the air, remembering to remind you to subscribe to WND Newsroom on Rumble. It's free. If you're watching on a big monitor, take your phone out and scan that QR code. It'll hit you right there. And the followers are increasing, the views are increasing, and we are glad you are with us here today. It's incredible to see that the mainstream news right now is focused on monkeypox. Once again, we are seeing signs of lockdowns on the horizon. The WHO is sounding the alarm. I don't know if this is monkeypox 2.0 or if in 2022 it was beta testing, but we are here. It's happening. It's happening, folks. We're going to get into that. Plus, Trump is sounding the alarm on what the country is going to continue to look like should the Democrats stay in charge. Meanwhile, there's more dancing happening in the White House. And then there's a crucial role that Christians play in this upcoming election that we cannot sit out. We cannot sit out. So, folks, welcome to the program. Elizabeth Farah, Josh Turnbow. How you doing, folks? Sorry, I missed my cue here with my sound cue. I like to play that music.
No, it was beautiful. It was beautiful.
Anyway, folks, what is this? The monkeypox. Let's play this clip from the WHO here. Let's see where we're at.
From the WHO.
From the
People didn't listen at that time, but this time we think the world will listen. Now, the reason we're concerned is it's like a variant. It's called Clade 1b. Sorry for the name. It's a variant of what we had seen for many decades that had been endemic in Democratic Republic of Congo and West Africa, East Africa. But this one is spreading very rapidly, and it's spread to countries in Africa that have never seen it before, such as Rwanda, Kenya, Burundi. We're seeing a lot of cases in Burundi and also in Uganda. And these are countries that have got a lot of contact with the rest of the world, but it's so that's a threat to the rest of the world. But
okay.
Yeah, go, please, Elizabeth, take it away.
A threat to the rest of the world. Okay. Firstly, shut down all flights from the Congo, Rwanda, Kenya, Uganda, Burundi, shut them all down. Because if they think that Americans are going to be put in the same position they were with the China virus, then they are sadly mistaken. We will not do it again. And so, this to me looks like an October surprise. So many things have happened in the fall that are momentous, so it was the October Bolshevik Revolution. We know how well that went. We see the Communist China Party, Mao Zedong. He started the People's Republic of China in October. There was the Black September. Everything's September, October. Oh, the Palestinians first launched their genocidal war of extermination, they called it, in November. So they've got the fall sewn up with totalitarian genocidal nightmares. I predict that if they don't pull this in October, it's because we've done too good a job to preempt it. Otherwise, we're going to have something just like this monkey virus. And no, I'm not going to call it Clade 1b. I'm calling it monkey virus.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we're not falling. We're definitely not falling for this again.
No.
At least the folks on
monkey
our side.
Virus.
Yeah, the monkey virus. And Josh, Elizabeth brought up a good point. She says, shut down the airports, do all that thing. If we want to remind everybody, and in that clip that we shared, which we have it in full over on our X post of that clip there, she mentions how the WHO warned the world in January of 2020 of COVID. And if I can, correct me if I'm wrong, but during January of 2020, when they were warning, Trump was the one that said, well, let's shut down the flights.
And Nancy Pelosi
was to Chinatown. Yep, that's it. She was in Chinatown saying, no, everything's fine. Everybody
fly to Chinatown.
Yeah, so you're right. You're spot on, Elizabeth. Josh, what do you think, man? I mean, are people going to remember that, or is it just me?
Sadly, most people will not remember that. And I think we need to just do a steady job of reminding them.
Yeah.
We have this amazing thread that we had on Twitter. I don't know. I'm maybe early on suggesting we look at that, but that thread, we can go to that thread. Yeah. And this is an amazing thread from Dr. Simon Godek. I think I'm saying his name right, but If we just kind of scroll this is the first image, Elizabeth. This is beloved to you. What is this image?
Well, this is my favorite because it's actually not the first. There's several posts above. He does something like 25, 30 reasons or things to remember about COVID, and it's brilliant. So did we repost that at WorldNetDaily?
Yeah,
on our
we
X?
will.
Okay, definitely repost that, baby. I'm going to bookmark it. But one of my favorite ugly facts was, of course, they changed how deaths were reported so that someone dies of a heart attack and they may or may not even test for COVID. When my brother went into the hospital very, very seriously ill, they told my mother he was going to die of COVID. He was having heart attack. He had decades of severe respiratory and many other illnesses, but they were going to slap COVID on it. She was furious. Anyway, this chart, go back up to my chart, please. No, okay. My favorite chart of all times was this. So in 2016, 17, and then I'll just run through the numbers. 29 million flu cases, 45 million flu cases, 36 million flu cases, 38 million flu cases between 2019 and 2020. And as you can see there, wow, 2020 to 21, there was less than 0.1%. Oh, no, I don't even, what is that number? Is that 5 million? Or no, it's 1.5 million. I'd have to get my glasses on and my pen and put my decimal points. Okay, this fraction. Suddenly we have 32 million COVID cases. My dog, okay, my two cats, my dog passed. My two cats could tell you that there's something wrong with these numbers.
Absolutely. I mean, that is a damning chart there. And I even remember at the time having arguments with folks and discussions being like, well, what happened to the flu? And they're like, well, because COVID is the dominant virus and that's why the flu isn't around. And you're just,
that's not science, is it?
No, it's not science. It's not like science? The two viruses are fighting in the air to see who can attack you. You know, go to the graphic right above this, which is, it's not like this is happening before they enter you, right? The virus this is you walking through a restaurant. You know, if you're walking through wearing a mask, the virus can get you, but if you're sitting down, it goes right over you.
Or if you're Gavin Newsom, the virus can't get you ever, no matter how few times you wear your mask.
And speaking of Gavin Newsom, that video that was down below was down below the chart was a guy at the beach all by himself, and the cop chasing him because you were not allowed to go to the beach. I mean, honestly,
how humiliating this guy.
Yes, Josh. I mean, come on. I mean,
that
at the time,
should be in the NFL. Look at this run he has.
I know, he's amazing.
At the time, there were people that saw this and said, "Good, get that guy." But do you think that they still are thinking that way now that we are out of it, and that the Olympics allowed people with COVID to still compete? Like, do they look back at this video, do you think, Josh, and go, "Yeah, that was pretty stupid," or do they go, "No, that"?
No, to do that, they have to. They have to break their cognitive dissonance, and then they have to say, they have to question everything else they did and how they shamed their grandparents and didn't let the grandparents see the kids, or even more intense, did not visit their dying loved ones in the hospital.
That's just the grief.
Everybody
of that.
wants to memory hole this stuff,
and also let's not forget the grandmas that go to prison or jail because they wanted to feed their families and keep their business that's been going, and not grandmas, just grandpas, grandmas, mothers and fathers whose businesses were all shut down. And by the way, they were all the middle class small businesses.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know.
And
except for sorry. Never mind.
I was just going to say, speaking of going to see your loved ones, there was this horrible video. Let's show that real quick of the.
Put your hands in there. Put your hands in there.
The first time I saw this, I didn't know what it was, and it was so terrifying to me.
Yes.
I thought it was like this person looked like a monster, or I mean, it took me a moment.
It's like they're sending the child to go hug a body bag. I mean, it's grotesque. Absolutely grotesque. So all right, so let's get back so we know what we all went through, but with the monkey virus, the monkeypox, whatever they want to call it, we went through a slight scare of this in 2022, and I don't know if they felt like they fumbled the ball and they had to pull back because they were like, oh, it's only affecting a certain community. But this is what, and I think she's the now former head of the CDC at the time, Walensky. This is how she reported the spread of monkeypox to children. Let's listen to this.
We have seen now 2 cases that have occurred in children. Both of those children are traced back to individuals who come from the men who have sex with men community, the gay men community. And so when we have seen those cases in children, they have generally been what I call adjacent to the community most at risk.
Okay. You know, my favorite line today is going to be the men who have sex with men community. Is there an acronym for this?
I don't think I can say it, but yes, there is.
I mean, and I think that went viral at the time, and that was
So to
the main community. You know, the men having sex. I can't even say it like she couldn't say it, but it's that community that was being grossly affected by it. But now you see that the narrative is coming out that no, it's this is coming from Africa. This is normal. You know,
Sure.
This is the strain. So that way it kind of goes the way COVID went more so. Is that do you think this is just kind of like a redo, Josh?
They just absolutely need some kind of viral thing that'll take us right to the election. I mean, it feels like that, right? Like, oh, remember, was it bird flu that just kind of fell flat? Now they'll try monkeypox again, and absolutely it'll be COVID season all over again. But this one's a little scarier because it like, it shows by having sores all over your face. It's very disturbing. But
I'll be upset about that.
Yeah, whenever you see the media heading a certain direction, they're all in alignment. It's for a reason. It's a narrative.
Yeah.
It's not random.
Will they so will the spots be the detection point? Because we remember from COVID when China was sending out these videos showing people falling down. I think we have a clip of saying this is what COVID looks like this is what happens when you get COVID. Let's look at this clip.
What month was this? I saw that all the time at my grocery store. A couple of times I saw people do that.
Yeah, they just and they would convulse like this.
I'm starting to think, Matt, that like there was a real propaganda campaign that came out of China. I remember seeing remember they were welding people into their homes.
Oh, that was
guys. There was a video of a guy standing, and then he just face planted. And I never saw anyone do that from COVID, not one single time. But
I saw it happen with people that had the vaccine on stage doing a stand-up comedy show.
No, I think you're right.
I'm just saying.
This was obviously orchestrated. It was, performative for us. But the thing about China, I know that almost no Americans, well, the doomers on this call me or on this video stream, something like that. But the vision of the communist China, and this is not the only horrific thing they did, but going in and welding closed whole apartment complexes, every door, so the people were shut in, welded in. It was impossible for them to leave because even if they knocked a hole into their neighbor's apartment, they couldn't get out of that. The windows were barred and welded, and they just starved to death there. This is what a communist government is ultimately. That's where it goes. And I know that it doesn't seem like it's around the corner for us, but you are seeing all of the telltale signs, and the government has a lot more tools and weapons in their quiver than Vladimir Lenin, right? And Mao Zedong. I mean, they did not have
the governor of New York had French fries. That was part of his assault, right? Let's watch this video. This is what happened when the vaccine rolled out. Let's watch the governor of New York. the former mayor of New York City, rather.
Free fries when you get vaccinated? I got vaccinated. You're saying I could get this? These delicious fries? Wait a minute. But there's also a burger element to this? Let me check with Bill Neathart. Is it too early in the day to eat a burger? No. This could be breakfast? Okay. I want you to look at this and think about, again, some people love hamburgers. Some
Matt, stop this video. Please.
This is soft tyranny, right? Is this soft tyranny or is this the hard Stalinist tyranny? Which kind is
that's
this?
Just a little sidebar for a moment. Then they were going in and threatening people with arrest and Tim Walz. What do you call it? A narc line or whatever, informant
the snitch line. Yeah, the
snitch line.
Yeah.
Thank you. Like the Nazis have, and like communist China has. The grandma destroyed, jailed for 3 months. Can you imagine? There are pedophiles roaming the streets that have been let loose in less than 3 months. I know that's an outrage, but 3 months. She got out in 60 days. Thanks.
Yeah.
It's like Great Britain today. They're throwing people in prison just for being at a rally.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, I guess, like you said, Josh, all we can do is to try and remind people. That's why we're doing this segment now. We hear the rumblings of monkeypox and we're like, folks, take these clips, go to our X posts and share this around. Find the infographics. Elizabeth, you're going to be sharing infographics like crazy on this stuff, right?
Yes, I'm an infographic queen, but I'll tell you what, I'm a czar.
The
Rena.
czar.
Anyway, you know what I think we should consider doing, guys? I think we should start not a petition, a declaration, a letter, and make it digital where people can sign up even all over the world. And see if we can't get our colleagues in the patriotic press, I'll call them, and Christian organizations to sign it, just declaring this October, if you declare a shutdown before the election because of some kind of virus, we will not comply. And maybe that's a preventative measure. We'll never know if it prevents it. But if they had 40 million Americans saying, we won't do it. You can try, but we will not do it. Maybe you could get governors across the country to say, we will not enforce this, besides, obviously, DeSantis.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, governors, attorneys general.
We used to do this stuff all the time at WD. Do you know that when we
put up a petition. Yeah.
We sent pink slips to Congress one year, and they reported to us, the paper companies, that we had bought every piece of pink paper in all of North America. Canadians couldn't buy pink paper. Americans couldn't buy pink paper, copy paper, because we had taken it all. Because we sent pink slips, millions of them.
I love it. Love it. Yeah. Well, then you have proven success. I think
we
you
have
can
success.
do this. Yeah. If all it takes is just putting up a little sign, sign this thing, I will not comply, and we'll have that on record. That's great.
Yeah.
Well, Trump had a press conference and he laid out some food, and he was talking about inflation and the unsettling times we're living in under this Biden-Harris regime. And so we have a few highlights from there, and let's see what's the first one here. First of all, he wants to highlight that Kamala is a communist due to the price. The price. She wants to stop prices from what is it called? Price gouging? Is that what it is?
Yes.
She thinks people are price gouging, so she wants to halt prices. Let's listen to this.
22% interest or whatever, but it's inflation. I meant.
Right.
And they're now at 10%, and you can't get a mortgage. So, which really kills the American dream for young people. Young people are being devastated by what they've done to our country. Grocery prices have skyrocketed. Cereals are up 26%. Bread is up 24%. Butter is up 37%. Baby formula is up 30%, flour is up 38%, and eggs are up 46%. Many items are up at much higher rates than that. Now Kamala is reportedly proposing communist price controls. She wants price controls. And if they worked, I'd go along with it too, but they don't work. They actually have the exact opposite impact and effect. But it leads to food shortages, rationing, hunger, dramatically more inflation. Their Inflation Reduction Act, by the way, was a disaster. It's what caused the inflation. Their Inflation Reduction Act was a con job. They actually admitted that it wasn't really for inflation that they did it.
Josh, I love that he says something to the effect of like, if it worked, I would be for it. It's like saying if communism worked, I'd be all for it. But it doesn't. It's terrible, right?
If it was good for business, man.
If it was good for business, we'd love it. And I tend to have to say I have to agree. If communism worked, I'd love it, but it doesn't.
Trump's kind of hitting on a really important fact here that like there's been many press conferences, many direct addressings of the inflation, denial of the actual percentage, of course. But like even Biden, he was going to like pass the Inflation Act or whatever it was. And it does nothing. It does nothing to the prices of anything. In fact, everybody knows that if you've just gone to the grocery store, it's never been more expensive to just get normal staples.
Wait a minute. You cannot spend $1 trillion or whatever the bottom line was that was of that one particular bill. And I can never remember the second bill or the first bill that they passed. That Kamala was also the vote. I mean, the tie-breaking vote. So she is personally responsible for both of these massive boondoggles where trillions of dollars are thrown into our economy. Inflation is really about inflating the money supply. And so you go out, they print money because they don't earn money. They print money, they flood our nation with that money, and that drives every price of everything up. But wages don't go up. Wages just don't pop up suddenly. And so what actually caused or hardened or put on steroids inflation was their very Bidenomics plan to get us out of the economic doldrums or inflation. They're idiots. They're complete idiots. I'm not even, I'm not tops in economics, trust me, but that is about as kindergarten as you can get.
You're going to hear no argument from me there.
Thanks.
Absolutely. Folks, you got to check out the article over at WorldNetDaily on Trump's press conference and the cost of groceries. There it is, 21% more because of the Biden-Harris policies. And it's funny because they go around saying, "Oh, we want to help. We're going to end the border and the economy and all that." And they're in power now. Like, do it now. Trump also brought up that Kamala is a radical Californian. Everybody was all concerned about Gavin Newsom because he's the governor of California, but Kamala's entire history is California. And so let's listen to him on this. This is clip number 7.
Kamala Harris is a radical California liberal who broke the economy, broke the border, and broke the world, frankly. Very destructive to the entire world because as we go, oftentimes the world goes. She destroys everything she touches. And if she wins, your finances and your country will never recover. You're never going to recover. A radical left person wants to put price controls all over the place, which will end up driving up your prices, not down your prices. Harris has just declared that tackling inflation will be a day one priority for her. It's going to be day one. But day one, really, for Kamala was 3.5 years ago. Where has she been? And why hasn't she done it? Why hasn't she done it?
Amen.
I hear her complaining all the time. She was the border czar, but she didn't do anything.
Yeah, I mean, that point needs to be hammered over and over again. Don't you think, Elizabeth?
All I've got to say is this. You don't have to imagine what a Kamala presidency would be, because you're living through that nightmare right now.
That's
I
true.
just took his line. Okay.
I think people are not somehow we're all so distracted that we're not thinking clearly. Like, she's already in power.
Right.
Everything that's terrible now
That's a good point.
is at her feet. She gets to own it. And
Yeah.
there's some
yeah.
like idea that, oh no, it'd be way different with her. This is
And they've already ceded the point that Joe Biden isn't in power, right?
Right.
Because he's not fit to run, and nobody's seen him. People barely see him. I mean, I think maybe he was at a Kamala rally recently, but even still, it's like, who's, we keep asking the question, who's running the country? And so apparently it's nobody, none of these people that are out there.
Everybody on X, when I'm saying that, everybody who's a commentator, everybody who's a journalist, everybody who's an activist that is a patriot, I'm not talking about the communists, Marxists, Islamists, whatever, is saying we have to stay on point. We have to keep beating this over and over and over again. I broke an egg. It was stuck to the carton. And I didn't want to use it because there can be a salmonella issue. And I look at it, and I had it in a bowl, and I threw it away. My housekeeper happened to be there at the time, and she said, "Oh, so much money." That egg is 45% more expensive than it was just 2 years ago. This is her record. Her record is impoverishment. It's communist. And Tim Walz and Kamala Harris are both communists. They are radical. I'm from San Francisco, born and raised. So I don't know why that matters at all. So forget I just said that. Anyway.
You're dead to me now.
But that communism is evil. I was just studying Martin Luther King's sermon on communism. And the question, that was the name of the sermon was, can a Christian be a communist? And so he gave his whole introduction, which is really, really well done. And then he says, well, let's just start the meat of this, or, the main part of this, with the question. Let's just answer it. Can a Christian be a communist? And he says, emphatically, no. And then he just goes on to give a brilliant dissertation, or a sermon rather, on why a Christian cannot be a communist. And so if today, like Charlie Kirk and so many other people, like Elizabeth Farah says, if all those Christians that are going to stay home on Tuesday because they got Tuesday morning Bible study, go to the polls instead and drag all their girlfriends and their church with them, then we can save this country. But if you don't vote actively, you're voting for two hardcore, radical, revolutionary Marxists. And that is as godless as you can get. So if you're thinking you can be a communist and vote for them and be a Christian, you're wrong. And so go to your pastor, get on your knees and pray, and on November 5th, get to the polls.
Yeah, well said.
Amen.
And speaking of that, we have this new image that Shepard Fairey, who did the infamous Obama Hope poster back in 2008, he's apparently released a new poster to help Kamala Harris. Let's check this out. Boom. Forward. Where have we heard that before?
Yeah. And so, like, Matt, you were kind of mentioning this is very telling, obviously, who's really running things. The first time we saw an image like this was from Obama, but I went ahead and just fixed it for us here. I'm going to show you that. Okay, there you go.
There you go.
All right, fixed.
Thank you. Can you send that to me, honey? I need that to be like reposting.
Yeah. It's funny. I've heard this, and make no doubt about it. Tim Walz, Kamala Harris, they speak like a communist, right? They use all the talking points. They use all the the equity outcomes, all that scene. Like they're in that world. I don't necessarily think that they may be actual communists in the sense that they are using the rhetoric in order to just gain power. I don't know. I don't know where
they
it
are
actually
communist, Matt.
But I don't know if they're that smart to be communists, is what I'm trying to get at.
Firstly, you know what? There is a smartness. There are different kinds of intelligence, right?
Okay, yeah.
And you can have a guy that's out on the street and he is robbing and selling drugs and prostituting girls and grooming little girls, and he's got a certain kind of smarts, right? And, I'm not going to go all the way down that road, but the point is there are different kinds of smarts. And the conniving, evil, power mad, doctrinaire and ideologue has his own smarts. And Kamala, she's got her smarts. She's like Looney Tunes. She's crazed. Walls is crazed, but we think they're crazy. They're crazy like a fox. They're crazy like a fox.
Yeah.
And you don't have to be Albert Einstein to have, to believe in something and to be, yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. Look, I just
sorry.
I love it.
Don't.
That's good TV, Elizabeth. I love it. Knock me down. Put me back in my senses. They are. You're right. They are. I don't. Okay. Well, meanwhile, in the White House, here's what's happening in the White House. When we ask about who's running the White House, here's the press secretary with doing some important business in the White House.
Let's move. What? Can you teach me how to dougie? You know why? Because all the girls love me. All I need is a beat that's super bumpin', and for you to back it up and dump it. Put your arms up.
Yes, Elizabeth. She was at the White House dinner last night.
This is so embarrassing. What is this whole? This is the thing and then the fact. Did you ever notice that he was the only guy in the picture? He wasn't like they weren't doing a selfie together. He just had himself in it. These people are so pathetic.
It's all a show. It's all a terrible, terrible show. I don't get it, folks.
But
I'm sorry.
All these laughing and I think it's really. I'm not going to say we're doing a service, but I think it is a good thing to have the laughs because, ladies and gentlemen, it is dark out there, and there is a storm coming, and
I feel like we're
literally,
in the middle of it,
a tsunami. And you know how easy it is to get away from a tsunami. So, because we love the Lord God Almighty, we have hope. And I'm not preaching down to anybody. I'm not preaching really. I'm just saying that we all know our faith. We know those scriptures. And the Lord will never leave us or forsake us. And but he also says to us, he commands us to fight. He says to Joshua, I always repeat this, be strong and of a good courage. He commanded strength, and he commanded them to go into the promised land. And he punished those who did not go because they were fearful and they did not fight. They weren't willing to do the work. And I think but we've got to have this joy that I think we all share. And I really appreciate that time because I think we don't want to ever leave feeling desperate and hopeless, right?
Yeah. No, it's important. It's important. And there's a great book. It just escaped me. Viktor Frankl. You must be familiar with that. It'll come back to me.
Okay.
Look it up, Viktor Frankl. Anyway, but what you bring up is a great point that I think brings us to our final clip for today. This is from Matt Walsh, talking about the duty that Christians have, the duty that conservative Christians have when it comes to this election, when it comes to this time, because you're absolutely right, Elizabeth. Like we know what the ultimate ending is. And I think when we have that weighing on our heart, or we have that lifting our heart as well, that we are able to then hopefully stay engaged and move forward. So let's watch a little bit of this clip from Matt Walsh that we also have posted over on X, I believe. But let's listen to some of this.
It's very simple. Every American who considers himself conservative or Christian has a moral obligation to vote against Kamala Harris. This is a bad person. And she is part of a regime, more importantly, that has very bad, very evil designs for this country. She wants to kill babies. Okay, up to the moment of birth. That's what these people believe in. Fully born infants. She wants to destroy our national sovereignty. She doesn't believe that we have a right to national sovereignty. She wants to indoctrinate our children into an ideology of self-harm and confusion. These are the people who want to release violent criminals onto the streets. To continue to destroy our communities. And in every other sense, they are actively working against everything we claim to stand for. So whatever you think of Trump, I mean, even if you have the most unflattering view of him that a reasonable person could possibly have, he is not part of that agenda. And if you are voting for that agenda, you are actively participating in the evil. You are supporting it. You are helping it to gain and retain power. And that you're doing all of that to get back at Donald Trump because you don't like him at the expense of our country, that just makes you a fool at best. At best.
Yeah, there it is. There it is. Elizabeth, what do you think? I mean, that's some powerful words there from Matt Walsh.
Glad that Matt Walsh agrees with me. No, I'm joking.
No, it's true, though. Yeah, sure.
It's so true. And I'll tell you what, it wasn't too many years ago, because I've been saying this pretty radically in your face. You're not a Christian, or you're not behaving like a Christian if you don't vote for Donald Trump. In his first time, I wasn't quite as sure, how wonderful he was going to be, but I knew that we shouldn't have the alternative. Anyway, this is something that I think far fewer people find shocking and jarring. That whole canard and, just ridiculous statement, Jesus isn't, or God isn't a Republican or a Democrat. Jesus isn't a Republican or a Democrat. Okay, yeah, because they're God. Right? They don't need to have parties. Are they anti-killing babies? Yes. Are they anti-theft, anti-government as God? Just keeping in mind that Kamala and Tim Walz, for you Christians, their God, small g, is government and man. And so it is idolatry to be voting for somebody who conforms their thinking and their government to communism. It is pure idolatry. And I think it's really good. And I think it's very important that we keep talking about that. And also, it's not just about emasculating little boys and killing babies and what they do to marriage and Christians. I mean, these are all so obvious. But do not forget that there is virtually no financial, economic, policy, or law that isn't moral at its core. There is really no law that isn't moral. Yes, you do legislate morality. And all economics, taxes, all of it is a moral issue.
Yeah.
Vote your
those
morals.
Are great points all around. I think that's a great way to go out on today.
That wasn't a very smiley, goofy.
No, but it's important.
Thing.
And no, you said it at the top of the show. There's some important things that we need to make sure that get across here. So we've been laughing throughout. You can go back and rewatch the show and laugh with us. But that's a great point.
Notice that we're all in a blue mode here.
Ah, the blue mode, yes.
Was that intentional?
That's by design.
It is.
I think so,
Okay.
Josh Turnbow. All right.
It is.
Josh, with that, we are on Rumble. We're firing away on Rumble. There's a lot of people watching on Rumble. It's great to see that. A lot of views, a lot of you folks out there at WND Newsroom. If you're not there, make sure you go over there. Josh, tell them how to do all that.
Yeah, folks, we want you to move over to X, move over to Rumble, go to Rumble, WND Newsroom. You're going to see that as our account on Rumble. And that's where we want you to watch. And we definitely want you to like and subscribe. I think all the kids say this now on their channels, but we're going to say it too. Like and subscribe and even put in a comment. We love that. YouTube's going to censor. I don't know if anybody watched the most recent episode of Tucker Carlson, but he puts the show in multiple places, including YouTube. And full sections of his conversation are just muted and censored whenever he talks about, I don't know, anything like a virus, completely cut
C
out.
word.
still censored by YouTube and to some degree Facebook. So we can't trust them anymore. And what's going to happen in the next few months? You want to know the truth. You're going to find that here, also at WND.com or WorldNetDaily.com. You're going to see all of our articles. Go there, check them out. Follow us on our social media channels too. We will tell you the truth. We'll find a way around the censorship. You don't want to miss it.
That's right. And Elizabeth, let's remind everybody where we can follow you on X.
Oh, me too. At Elizabeth Farah.
There it is.
It's very simple.
And Matt, my X account is without monkeypox at josh.com. Thank you.
Oh, very good. All right. Well, you guys can find me at True Matt Edwards on X. So on behalf of Josh and Elizabeth, I hope everybody has a blessed weekend, and we'll see you back here on Monday. Take care.
Shabbat shalom.
Dr. Fauci, give us vaccines. Help all the people who have been quarantined.